The beauty of every tree is revealed through its fruits. How big, attractive, and evenly ripened it appears. However, the taste and quality of the fruit depends largely on its fruit and the care given to the tree before harvest. This simple illustration explains what happens in every individual. Our thoughts influence our emotions, and our emotions influence our actions, which is the part of us that everyone sees. The strength or weakness of a person's behavior is determined by the quality of what they have consistently consumed mentally, emotionally, and socially over a long period of time. Every container has contents, and those contents are revealed either with ease or under pressure. Hi, welcome to another episode of Mental Health Series with Coach Ebube. And in today's video, we'll be looking at the behavioral component of mental health. This has to do with actions that are preceded by an individual's thoughts and emotion. And at the end of the video, we'll have a U-time, a moment you are allowed to answer a few reflective questions designed to encourage engagement, retention, and self-reflection. If this is your first time of meeting me, my name is Ebube. I'm a teacher, a mental health advocate, and a passionate optimist who believe that nothing can defeat you without your permission. Let's dive right into today's discussion. Welcome back. In our last episode, we discussed emotional well-being, also known as emotional health. We explained the emotional well-being as the ability to understand, express, and manage emotions appropriately. We also describe emotions as the way of expressing life. Expressing emotion allows you to experience the joy of living, while suppressing your emotions denies you that experience. In that episode, we used the illustration of water being forced into a closed pipe. When water is prevented from flowing out for a long period of time, pressure builds up. Eventually, it will find a way to escape, either by cracking openings or leak in the pipe or causing it to burst. Either of them are not the best. That is how suppressed emotion will eventually find a way out, which when they do, the consequences can be damaging. Unexpressed emotions have been linked to psychological distress, physical health challenges, relationship difficulties, and emotional instability. If you haven't seen that video, I will encourage you to do so, either before or after you watch this one for better understanding. Today, we'll be discussing behavioral well-being as a core component of mental health. So, what is behavior? When you hear the word behavior, what comes to mind? Behaviors refers to the collection of responses an organism makes in any given situation. It is an observable response produced by an organism when exposed to a particular stimulus or a group of stimuli. I will explain. A stimulus is anything that triggers a response, such as light, sound, words, touch, like touch, weather conditions, reward, or challenge. Simply put it like this: behavior is a visible response to something. Looking at behavior from this perspective help us to understand that actions and reactions are not only limited to human beings. Since behavior applies to all living organisms, including animals, including plants, different organisms respond differently to the same stimulus. Let me give you an example. The glory of the eagle is often revealed when the wind is strong. While other birds may struggle against the wind, while other birds may go to hide, the eagle uses the high wind to soar higher. This teaches us something important. The same situation can produce different responses in different people. And those differences are often influenced by exposure, experiences, knowledge, environment, and maturity, which is not necessary by age. Like in my dialect, they normally say, Onyi jeka onyi siawoma, meaning the person who travels is better than the person with the gray hair. Every individual is built, shaped, and defined by his environment, by the environment they find themselves in. Having explained all of this, what then is behavioral well-being? Behavioral well-being focuses on how a person acts, reacts, and develops habits. It is closely connected to our thoughts and emotions. Every action begins with a thought, which is cognitive, followed by an emotional response, and finally, behavior, which is the action that everybody will see. When behaviors are repeated consistently, they become an individual's habits. Over time, those habits contribute to the development of that person's character. For example, someone might occasionally tell a lie. That does not automatically mean the person is a liar. The act may be influenced by maybe fear, anxiety, or desire to avoid consequences. Such actions are often premeditated and usually followed by guilt or discomfort. But when dishonesty becomes habitual and a person lies without any cause or conviction, it begins to reflect the character of that individual rather than an isolated behavior. I don't know if you understand what I mean. What you do occasionally does not define who you are. What defines you is what you have done many times habitually. That is what defines you. Therefore, if behavior is to be improved, thoughts must first be filtered. So ask yourself this question. What kind of thought regularly passes through my mind? You know, there is this Bible passage that I love so much. It says, renew your mind, change your mind, renovate your thinking, renovate your mind. What thoughts do I dwell on often? These are the questions you need to ask yourself if you need an improved outcome. Are those thoughts helping or harming you? What we allow into our mind through our senses, especially our eyes and ears, matters greatly. These things influences and shape who we become. The difference between two people of similar age who grew up in the same neighborhood is often exposure, what they constantly saw, heard, learned, or practiced. This is particularly important for children. They quickly absorb positive and negative influences from their environment. In fact, in most cases, negative behavior attracts their curiosity because they are unfamiliar with them and they would like to explore them. Children often learn more from what they observe than from what they are told. In other words, they are more likely to imitate what they see. They are telecameras on foot. They merely follow what they hear. Mental health is holistic because the cognitive, emotional, and behavioral components work together. The human mind works like a chain, starting from your thoughts, which is the cognitive component of mental health. Your thought comprises of what you believe in, your attitude, perception, that is how you see things, because we all see things differently, your interpretations, that means the way you analyze things, then self-talk, how you see yourself. All this will conceive thoughts like, I am a winner, I can solve this problem, I am loved, those challenges will pass. Then on the negative spectrum, you hear another person say things like this: he is a failure, this problem is too big to be solved, nobody cares about him, this is the end. That means all hope is lost. All these thought patterns will produce different kinds of feeling in different people, which is now the emotional component of mental health. Our thoughts create emotions. This is why two people can face the same situation and experience different feelings. All this comes from the way an individual analyzes things. All this comes from the thoughts. Somebody that has a thought like everyone is against him, what kind of emotion will that person produce? The individual will produce emotions of fear, emotions of anger, aggression, sadness. But when somebody have thoughts of I am greatly loved, everybody is celebrating me, what kind of emotions do you think that will come out of that person? It will be emotions of joy, peace, hope, security. Those feelings will develop different actions and reactions, which are now the behavioral component of mental health. Our emotions influences what? Our actions and reactions. So behavior is the outward expression of what has been happening inside. There is no behavior that just starts from anywhere. How somebody behaves is a sum total of how they see themselves from inside. That is the point we are trying to drive out. That is why mental health is holistic, comprising of thoughts, emotions, and behavior working together to produce either healthy or unhealthy outcomes. A mentally healthy person is not someone who has never struggled. No, rather, a mentally healthy person is someone who recognizes unhealthy thoughts, manages their emotions effectively, chooses their actions constructively, and behave in an acceptable way. They seek help when necessary. They continue to grow through life challenges. Friends, challenges will always arise. However, your ability to keep on moving forward despite difficulties is a strong indicator of emotional and mental resilience. Let's look at some of the elements that make up the behavioral component of mental health. Number one is coping behavior. Coping behaviors are ways people deal with stress, disappointment, pain, or pressure. The world we live in today are filled with challenges, and how an individual responds to them matters greatly. However, other elements are daily routines, what you do on a regular basis, habits, whether healthy or unhealthy habits, self-control, and impulse regulation. Now, what are some of the healthy coping behaviors? Number one is talking to someone. Avoid bottling things up. Learn to speak openly about your struggles, whether you are a male or female. Maintain consistent routine. Continue doing what you are doing or what you need to do. Do not get stuck because you are facing one challenge or the other. Healthy routines provide structure and stability during difficult times in life. Healthy lifestyle choices. Avoid making important decisions when on extreme emotions, whether overjoyed or angry. Avoid destructive habits that can worsen emotional pain. Exercise as often as possible. Physical activities reduces stress hormones such as cortisol, while boosting mood enhancement chemicals like endorphins. Practice deep breathing. Deep breathing helps calm your mind and regulate stress responses. Before you take an action, I will recommend you take a deep breath before you take any action. That will help you to reflect and ponder on the actions you want to display. Practice journaling. Journaling can be therapeutic. However, Be intentional about what you choose to revisit. A lady once told me she has a record of all the wrongs done to her in her auntie's house with their exact date and time, and how she goes back to those moments each time she revisits her journal. Please, if those records will torment you, delete them and forget about them. Prayer or meditation. Prayer and meditation offers opportunity for reflection, surrender, gratitude, and inner peace. Regardless of your religious affiliation, moment of quiet reflection can promote emotional stability, problem solving. Healthy coping behavior involves addressing challenges directly instead of avoiding them. Now, let us take a look at unhealthy coping behavior. Number one on my list is substance abuse. The use of alcohol, drugs, or other substances to escape pain often creates more problems than it solves. It can give you temporary relief, but it comes with its own baggages. I'll recommend you choose healthy alternatives like the ones we just talked about to relieve you than abuse of harmful substances. The next one is violence and aggression. Physical fights, verbal abuse, and hostile reactions often worsens emotional distress because you will always go back to regrets. Avoidance behavior. Isolation and withdrawal can increase loneliness and emotional suffering. Genuine communal living is a lifesaver. Take note of the word genuine because it is better to be alone than to be in the midst of fake people. So let's be guided on that. Let's be guided on our choices of friends. Self-harm and destructive coping mechanisms. Some individuals cope by inflicting harm on themselves. In severe cases, this may progress into suicidal behavior, and this requires immediate professional intervention. Eating disorders. Both overeating and chronic undereating can negatively affect mental and physical health. Excessive sleeping and withdrawal. Avoiding responsibility through excessive sleep or inactive can contribute to depression and reduce functioning. Get busy, it helps. Step out, it also helps, especially when you feel overwhelmed by negative thoughts. Do not stay on closed doors. Poor self-control or acting impulsively without reflecting can damage relationships and decision making. Let's always think through our actions before displaying. Self-control brings self-respect. Poor self-hygiene or care. This has to do with when someone stops taking care of themselves. They stop taking care of their medicals, they stop taking care of their physical body, their physical appearance. And this can be noticed if only we have empathy towards the other person, if only we don't just judge by their appearance, especially when you know the individual is not usually like this. Many people communicate distress long before a crisis occurs, through their works, through their physical appearance, through their behaviors or social media posts. Unfortunately, we are often too busy to notice. Friends, empathy matters. Before judging, criticizing, and reacting harshly to someone, ask yourself this question. If I were in this person's shoe, how would I feel? It is easy to always say what we would do in someone else's situation. However, many life experiences cannot truly be understood until they are lived. Empathy reminds us that every individual has their strengths, their weaknesses, their struggles, and imperfection. What may be another person's weakness today could easily become our own challenge tomorrow. Practicing empathy allows you to live more peacefully, compassionately, and wisely with others. Look around you. There is someone in your neighborhood, in your workplace, in your school, in your religious gathering or family that may be silently communicating distress. Reach out to them. Offer the help you can. Yes, they may resist at first, but genuine care and persistence, when they see that love, it will open their doors and they will give you a listening ear and you will help them to heal. Every seed of kindness sown into another person's life has the potential to produce lasting impacts in their lives and in our lives too. Remember, there is no pipe that frequently flows out water that can be dry. Now, let us look at how to improve behavioral health. Number one is replace unhealthy habits. Identify habits that are harming your well-being and intentionally replace them with healthier alternatives. Set realistic goals for yourself. Use behavioral tracking and goal-setting apps to measure progress and reinforce positive actions. Learn stress management skill. Develop practical tools for handling life pressures effectively. Practice self-discipline gradually. Do not be overly harsh on yourself. Lasting changes takes time. You don't expect a habit you have built over the years to disappear overnight. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. You will conquer it if you do not give up. Break the loop. Identify the triggers behind those unhealthy behavior and unplug the plugs. If possible, even destroy the sockets. Learn to separate your identity from temporal emotions. Instead of saying, I am an angry person, I'll prefer you rather say, I am feeling angry right now, but anger will not control my actions. Evaluate your environment. Some friendship and environment encourage growth. Others hinders it. Check out the fire extinguishers. If you are serious about change, surround yourselves with people who support your goals. Remember what I said about genuine friends. Be intentional about who is in your cycle. The journey may feel lonely at first, but eventually you will find people who align with your values and aspirations. Seek professional help when necessary. Behavioral therapy and counseling can provide practical tools for lasting change. Do not stay all closed up. Open up. All this behavior hides behind secrets and they thrive behind secrets. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who usually avoids responsibility each time they are stressed. They may sleep excessively, they lashes out verbally, or seek temporary escape through unhealthy behavior. Now, if this person have made decisions to start acting in a positive way, to start removing all those unhealthy habits, what do you think they will do? Each time they feel stressed, they will either take a walk. If they are provoked, instead of lashing out on the person takes a deep breath and try to process their action before what? Acting it out. They tend to connect with supportive friends. They tend to exercise regularly. They tend to pray and meditate and maintain a healthy sleep habit. Over time, those small decisions can create a remarkable transformation in that individual. Friends, many people in our communities are carrying burdens that we know nothing about. Let us be our brothers and sisters' keeper. Live and let others live. Empathy is wisdom in action. Compassion is strength. And I will recommend we all live by it and share it among others. Remember, mental health is not the absence of challenges. It is the ability to think clearly, feel appropriately, behave constructively, and continue growing despite life difficulties. We've come to the end of this episode, and by the next episode, we'll be looking at the other components of mental health. But before we go, now is the you time, a time you are allowed to answer a few questions. Here are the questions. Take a moment to reflect on your answers, either privately or in a journal. I'll also add a Google form link in the description box. You can click and answer. If you have any personal need or questions, share one thing you learned or connected with in the comment, and I'll be delighted to read them. Let's make this a safe place to support each other. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this episode. Do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And follow us on all social media platforms at La Empress Hub, because we have so many more coming your way. Till I see you on my next one. Bye.